Hello, hello. Hmm. So I started this. I think we're live. Let me check. Brilliant. Hey Neil, how's it going? Okay, cool. Sorry about the delay, guys. I had to do an update to the Restream app, and I'm just trying to figure out that everything, making sure that everything is connected. Looks like it. I don't know. Let me know if you guys can see me and hear me alright, and if I don't know if you guys are seeing this from Twitch or YouTube or Facebook. I think I just want to make sure that everything is connected fine before we get started. Hey Winston, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by. Alright, so let me just try to, I'm just gonna double check really quickly while I finish my coffee and we start. Hopefully today we get to finish this guy, or at least I get it to a stage that we call it finished, and the rest, it could take, it could be something for a different stream, or the sculpting part. I reckon we can get it done today. We're just gonna work on the clothes and some accessories and stuff like that, just to show you a couple of different techniques that I think they're gonna be cool. Right. So I think everything's connected. You guys can hear me and see me all right, so we can get started. I think the only one that is not, that I'm not sure if it's working, is the Facebook stream. So if any of you guys are watching from the Facebook feed, let me know, so that yeah, just to double check. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and get started with this, with these, with the clothes and the different accessories of this character. So this is what we end up with last stream. I went ahead and did a few more things, just a minor refinements. Um, I'm not too concerned about the anatomy. The anatomy, it's alright. I mean, you can kind of tell where the masses are. They're not necessarily, you know, working very harmoniously together. But I'm not too concerned about that, just because that everything is going to be covered and you won't be able to see it. But like I said, you can see, where the pectoral is, deltoid, the biceps. So it's it's kind of like there. There's a subtle indication. I personally don't like to have like super fit characters, because all the time having like a super fit character is not. I don't know. I just like the subtleties in the anatomy, and concentrating on the fat deposits to make it look more realistic. Because the reality is that not everything is like super fit, like perfectly fit, and lean body. So that's why I don't mind having it like that. Like I said, I'm conscious of it. So if I were to create this character without any clothes or anything, and at some point you will see him without the clothes, then I will probably spend a little bit more time making sure that the anatomy is more correct. I mean, just to give you an example of what I mean. So maybe from this maybe from this angle. I mean, it's also a stylized and cartoonish character, but this line is not very is not very good. I would spend more time making sure that the anatomy here looks a little bit better. But again, you won't be able to see any of these, and I'm gonna be covering it with some clothes, which is what we're gonna do today. So another thing that I did as well is, let me get into solo mode so it's faster. So I did a bit of sculpting, just some details here for a suggestion of some kind of fur. I only did it around the forearm and what it could be the hand of the character, as well as the bottom parts of the leg, just because again everything else is going to be covered, and I just want to have some like a subtle indication where things are. So that's the only really part that I created afterwards or after the stream. I also, I think I did a couple more things. This stick, right? So I did exactly the same thing or the same process as the horns. So that's why I did it afterwards, because it's exactly the same. I didn't do anything different. So if you want to see the process of how I created this, you can just go back to, I believe it was the second stream or the first one, maybe the second stream, or the second stream about this character where we did the horns and we detailed the horns. So that's basically what I did with this. And other than that, I think the eyes as well. So I just added a couple of sears here for the eyes. And if you check the body, I just went with the move brush and just pushed this in, just to have some holes where to put the eyes. And the eyes are just simple spheres that I just drag and drop. These are polyspheres, so you'll see they don't have the pointy area that a normal 3D sphere will have. So this is kind of like a square or a cube inflated, a subdivided cube inflated into spheres. All right. So that thing, I think that is pretty much it. Just wanted to give you an idea of the things that I worked outside of the stream, just so that you know that it's not, it's not nothing complicated, or you can easily follow it with anything else that you find online. There's no particularly interesting or revealing technique in how to create the eyes and what I just did here. Alright, so cool. So I think we have more people in the stream. How's everyone going? Let me see the chat. Cool. So hopefully you guys can see everything all right. Yeah, like I said, it looks like there's still some misconnection with the Facebook thing, but we'll just take it from here and see if we can fix it. Hey Javier, how's it going? I'm not sure if you're the same Javier Forques from the character creature workshop that we did, but if you are, welcome. If not, nice to meet you. All right. So another thing that I forgot to mention, the mask. So if I go to the mask, like I showed you in the previous stream, I went ahead and detailed kind of like the nose and the outer edge of this mask. And outside of the stream, like behind cameras, I went to all these extra details, and I just polished them as well with the same technique. It's a repetitive action, so there's no point of me showing you everything because it's boring. And then with the move brush, with the move topological brush, since every little piece is a separate polygroup, then I went ahead and push things around or push things a bit so that they're not perfectly symmetrical. Just creating some asymmetry and some more interesting volumes. That is it. Cool. All right. So let me bring in. I don't know if I have it here. I should have it. No. I'm just gonna load the sketch. All right, so you guys can see it there. Perfect. Yep. So today, like I said, we're gonna concentrate on the clothes of the character and the this fur coat and this one as well as these extra accessories. We in the previous stream we did the fiber mesh, so once we do the close, we're just gonna add the fiber mesh with the settings that we saved and just tweak it. But yeah, hopefully hopefully we'll have enough time to do this. We will definitely have time if I just start showing you stuff and stop talking. All right. So the first thing I want to do is the base. I'm going to work from the bottom up. So I'm going to start with this one, right? Because that's going to give us a good indication of how much this cloth is actually covering the character or the body of the character, and then the rest just sit on top. So it just makes sense to do it, from the ground up or from the bottom up. So for that, I'm just going to select the body. Every time with any brush that I select any of any subtool at this point, it is going to give me that this little notification saying that I cannot do anything until I create a new layer and sculpt with it in the layer. And this is because in the previous stream, when we posed the character, we did it in a separate layer. So everything, every single subtool, the pose of every single subtool is in a separate layer. And that is just because otherwise we will lose, if we don't save it in a layer, we will lose the T-pose. So in other words, we still have the character in a T-pose, and the layer is set to 1. I'm just going to show you because it's just easy to see. So in the layers, right, I have an extra bunch of layers just because, like I said, I did all of these details, right? But if I go back to 0 in the first layer, here we go, I have, the T-pose of the character and all the details that I added afterwards. So that is why every time that I touch or select a subtool, Zero is going to say, hey, hang on, you have a bunch of layers, you need to create a new layer if you want to keep sculpting. All right, so with that out of the way, let me duplicate the body. Go into solo mode. So this is just a duplicate of the body. And what I like to do is go to a lower subdivision level so it's faster to work with. Maybe 3, about 50,000 polygons should be alright. I'm going to delete lower and delete higher, or higher and lower, so that we kind of lost all that. And then I'm actually going to go to the layers and I'm going to bake all, right? So now, we can do anything we want. We're not restricted to any layer or anything. And this is just a duplicate of the body. Now, this is something that I thought about. It could be an interesting way to generate the clothes. It's not necessarily the way that I would do it normally, but again, I just want to show you like different approaches and different techniques. However, I don't know if this is gonna work. So that's also why I like to. That's why I like as well to do these live stream sessions, because I also get to play with or try new things, and this is the whole point, right? Like if it works, it's helpful. If it doesn't, it's also helpful because then I'm showing you something that how not to do something. But yeah, I want to show you something that it's not like super. It's not an incredible technique, but it's something different, and I'm thinking is going to work. Just the theory behind it, I think is going to work. My cule Pablito, saludos. A ver, quiero ver la máscara, thumbs up. Send hi Pablo, will you use a new split screen? Not in this stream, just because the split screen is a feature that is very useful if you're using references for something else. But I'm just coming up with, this is my own design, so I'm designing as I sculpt basically. Are you doing clean topology? Yeah, I think it's for if you mean for the entire character or for the new assets, definitely. I mean, it is pretty clean. It's not a super perfect animatable geometry, but it's pretty clean. If I go to the body, I mean, it's not bad. So yeah, all the character, the way that we've been working with it is been relatively clean. So you can basically T-pose per layer. That way you have rigging, RDI normal, and pose for presentation. Doom PD. So Doom PD is actually, yeah, I think if you're referring to that, yes. You can save the pose in a layer basically. So do you always have the T-pose for rigging afterwards? But then for presentation, you just create a pose if you want, or you can create multiple poses as well. So that's one of the beauty of layers. What graphic tablet do you have? I'm working on a Cintiq 24-inch Pro Touch. Yep, just a Cintiq 24-inch. And yep, cool. Alright, so here's the technique. Let's stop talking and let's do some stuff. If I turn off perspective, so that we have kind of this orthographic view, I'm going to rotate, hold shift to make sure I'm looking at the character from above. And from this perspective, right, I can just go ahead. I'm going to turn on polyframe so that you can see it and change the material. I can go ahead and click on or open up polygroups. And here in the polygroups, there is a very convenient button called Group Front, and the angle is set to 90. So Group Front is basically going to analyze whatever you have in the canvas, and from the camera, whatever is in front of the camera is going to be polygrouped, right? So really quickly, because this is a kind of like an important concept that is going to really help you doing, select different areas. So let's say that you have a sphere, and then you have your camera here. So this is the kind of like the front, or the way that the camera is looking at the sphere, right? So this thing, the group front, what it's going to look is going to analyze, it's going to kind of like a shoot some rays. So just imagine that this is kind of like the canvas, right? And whatever is in front of the camera is going to be polygrouped. So yeah, so everything that's in front of the camera is going to be polygrouped. Now the angle, and this slider allows you to determine what is the angle. So by default, I believe it's at 90 degrees. So that means that if you shoot rays, hang on, let's make it a little bit cleaner. So if you shoot these rays from the camera towards the object, right, it's going to look at the difference between this angle of view at 90 degrees and the rest of the model. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but at this point, this line will be essentially 90 degrees, right? Because it's 90 degrees from this line of view, or the front of the camera, right? So basically anything between the angle of view, or the front of the camera, and the 90 degrees from that angle of view is going to be polygrouped. I mean, for both sides, really. This is another 90 degrees. I mean, I think I'm overcomplicating things, but it's a really easy concept. It's just that I wanted to explain what this angle of view is. So if you increase that, it basically, so if you set this to, I don't know, let's say 110, just 20 degrees more, then ZBrush is going to analyze this and give you a bit more. So now you have all of these and so on. So hopefully that makes sense. The only reason I'm showing you this is because that's the technique that I'm going to use, and that's what I want to create. So if right now it's, you can see, set as 90 degrees. So anything that I can see, literally anything that I can see in the canvas right now, is going to be a polygroup. And if I change the angle of view, then it's gonna give me different polygroups. So from the top, I can just click Group Front, and I can rotate around, and you'll see ZBrush is giving me anything that is from that kind of like 90 degrees angle with a different polygroup. Hopefully that makes sense. Cool. So I know that this is like a pretty basic concept, but sometimes it's good to know where things are coming from. I think so. This is good, but I think it's not perfect for what we need. Like I said, it's just a technique that I wanted to try, but let's try to stick with it. So I'm gonna select the top part. I'm gonna hold Control and Shift, select that. Yep, just to isolate it. I'm gonna turn on double so I can see behind it. And what we can do is go to auto groups as well, which is here. And now we have a bunch of different polygroups, right? So let's do it again. Control Shift, click the top part. And this is the polygroup that I'm interested in keeping. So we can do a bit of, we can tidying it up a little bit because it's a bit messy. So let's go ahead and select this one, the big polygroup with the green, and I'm gonna select the lasso, and I'm going to select this bit, hold Alt to hide it. Going to do the same thing here as well. Honestly, I think that's all I wanted to do really. So now we can select the big one again, and oops, let's just assign another auto group. Let's select the extra bits that we just selected. Okay. Cool. So basically what I'm trying to do here is I'm gonna also Control W to assign a single polygroup to all that. What I'm trying to do here is just get the top part of this character so that we can extrude everything down, and we're gonna have a nice and accurate accurate behavior of the mesh or the clothes, so that is kind of like with gravity. And I'll explain what I'm trying to do a little bit better in just a second. But I think this works. I'm just going to clean this up a little bit more, so I don't need all of this. Maybe this one as well. And I want to cut here because again I don't need the arms or the hands, sorry. And let's go ahead and do the same thing here for the neck and the head. So hopefully you're getting an idea what I'm trying to do. And there's a tiny bit here. So this is super rough, but Control W. You'll see I'm just going away from the original group front. You can actually just do it manually, and that's probably gonna be easier. Just wanted to try something different. I'm gonna select this one as well, just because I want to have a bit more of these polygroups covering the arm, like so, as well as this one. Okay, so oops, there's a couple of tiny ones here. Just want to make sure I grab those. Yeah, so something like that. I mean, to be honest, I think I just overcomplicated things. But you won't find out new techniques and new stuff until you try them. Okay. That's essentially what I wanted to do. Just get a series of polygroups that come from the top, so that we can create a very natural flow and behavior of the clothes. But that's just one of the techniques. You can also just mask the character and then create the polygroups. Like I said, just wanted to do something different. All right. So now that we have these, which is again pretty rough, we can go ahead and delete hidden. Remember, this is just a duplicate of the original body. And now that we have these, we can go ahead and clean the edges a little bit. So I'm going to polish by groups, maybe a couple of times. All right. In fact, I don't need this bit. I'm gonna also delete that. Delete hidden. Okay, and let's do another polish by groups. Alright, so now that we have these, we can go ahead and do a quick ZBrush. We can actually reduce the count as well, so it's better to work with less geometry when you're blocking out stuff. So ZBrush, yeah, half, great. So I think that works. I'm gonna take this pointy area, push it in a little bit. Cool. All right. So now that we have this as it is, we can go ahead and bring in the C modeler, right? And we can make sure that hover over any face, right click, make sure that it's set to polygroup all, or yeah, polygroup all or all polygons, because we need to do add some thickness to everything at once. So I'm just gonna click on this polygon and I'm gonna push it outwards instead of inwards. So it's gonna create the thickness outwards, because the pink polygon, the pink polygroup is kind of like at the same level as the body. So I just want to create some thickness on top of it. Now, this is not going to be the final thickness or anything. I just want to create additional polygroups. So we have now this pale blue, this other blue around the edge, and the pink one. And this is really good. Now we can go ahead and or select polygroups that we want to mask. So in this case, I want to mask. So I'm going to select this one. Hang on. Select this one, and I'm going to mask it. So this is the one that I want to protect. Invert the mask. And now we can go ahead and click the move tool of the gizmo, bring it here, and then I can just push this down. Okay, so hopefully, I mean, this is gonna make more sense in just a second, but like I said, I'm probably just complicating things a bit, but I just want to have a good starting point so that I can create the clothes properly. So just with the scale, I'm just gonna, push everything from the bottom, so that it's kind of like a flat line. Bring back everything, and you can see, hopefully you can see what I'm trying to do here. So I'm gonna, with this one, I'm just gonna establish the kind of like the length of this cape, right? And the reason I did all this complicated technique is just because I need to have a good base mesh so that I can then do a mask and create a specific, set of polygroups. So in other words, I'm blocking the base where I can extract things from. So this is not going to be the final one. And also this is very useful, just because, I mean, if you have like a very dynamic pose and you're doing the clothes for that dynamic pose, then if you have like little flicks of clothes, and if the shirt is kind of like moving around, it's not going to be as noticeable if it doesn't really work. But if you have like a character that is just kind of like in a very very simple pose like this in this case, then one of the most important things that you need to pay attention to is the behavior of the clothes in terms of the gravity, because gravity is one of the most important things to create a believable look for the clothes. So doing it this way, we can make sure that every part of the clothes and the weight of the clothes is actually pointing downwards and not just in an angle, which is sometimes the case, and it doesn't look as good. Cool. So let's go ahead and clear the mask, and very quickly what we can do, we can actually dynamesh this and just clean it up a little bit, and then we can select exactly the areas that we want, right? So I'm going to dynamesh all this. The only reason I did the ZBrush and then extrude it is so that it's easily for the C modeler to extrude this area. But now we can dynamesh, and it's not a big deal. Okay, so now we have a solid block of geometry. And what we can do now is start selecting the areas that we want to keep for the mesh. Now there's one more thing that I'd like to do, which is adding some geometry here as well. So something else we can do, we can bring in some geometry and attach it here. So maybe that's going to be the easiest one. Let me just think if I can show you something else. I'm going to try something as well. I don't know if it's going to work, but hopefully gives you some ideas. So there is a really cool brush called the Curve Bridge brush, and that creates a bridge. I'm not sure if it's going to work between the same mesh, so let me just see. So I just want to close this gap. Great. That's it. that's what I want to do. So I want to just clear this gap. Now, kind of like the it's about no. Cool. Hang on a second. Quick save. I haven't used. Oh, there we go. It's doing an autosave. Hopefully it's not gonna crash. Just in the meantime, let me check the comments. It might be interesting to go through some of other brushes, even though most artists limit themselves to few. They were created with purpose, but not explored publicly by talented artists. Nice trick, nice character. Thank you guys. And this looks insane, but it is interesting way to doing it. Yeah, I can see what you mean. Like, yeah, it's I'm just trying to show you different options. So depending on what you're doing, this might be like an overkill. Like it might be easy to just append a geometry, and that's one of the techniques, the easiest one that I show in one of the courses that I did, one of the courses that I have for creating clothes. It's definitely gonna be easier. I just wanted to show you some of the techniques that, in case that you find them, if you find in the situation that you might need to use something different. One second. What am I looking for? Curve functions. Looks like never mind. Okay, so this one should have a. Great. So I think it's my tablet driver that is playing. Alright, so it's not ZBrush. I think either I'm running low on battery for the controller. That's not going to be good. Alright, just give me 1 second. I'm going to just restart the tablet, not the computer. So it's just going to take a few minutes. Give me 1 second. I'll be back, and I'll show you an easier way to go about this insane workflow. Just 1 second. Alright guys, sorry about that. I think I'm gonna have to restart the computer. The tablet just stopped responding. I did an update to the driver, and I should have not done that. So I'm just gonna have to stop it here, and I'm gonna have to come back in about 5 minutes. So don't go away. I'm gonna show you some other cool stuff. I'm just gonna restart the computer really quickly, and I'm gonna restart the stream in just about 5 minutes. All right, so hang on in there. I'll be right back.